My mother told me and my sister last week that she had bought a burial plot. I was pleased. As a minister, anytime someone in my family contemplates death, their own, their loved ones, the world's, I find it inspiring and important. We should all contend with death a little bit more. But the more interesting thing was that she had bought a green burial plot in which her body will decay naturally, returning matter into matter. No coffin, no concrete liner, no embalming fluids, just her body, decomposing. Bugs and worms and bacteria slowly sending her back to the soil. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Composting ourselves is a growing phenomenon. How many of you have heard of this green burial? So many. Driven by folks like us, who like the idea of limiting their carbon footprint after they pass, folks who like the idea of a simple funeral, cheaper, more natural. The idea is appealing to those who want to complete the circle of life, to come full circle, to return to the soil from whence they came. It's all about soil, really. We are all products of the ground, the dirt, the humus, the mulch, and the silt. The cow that eats the grass which grows from soil, the wheat which roots in soil before harvest to be made into grain, the life-saving antibiotics which flourish as bacteria in the soil alongside fungi, the water which must be held by the matrix of soil, cleansed through clay to quench our thirst. You have to add to the soil. You have to give back to the dirt. You have to maintain a balance of carbon and nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium, accomplished best through attending to the cycle, returning back to the earth what we borrowed for our own sustenance. The same way my mother's body will be returned, compost does much the same with our food scraps and paper waste. The first time I turned a real compost pile was up in Maine at a farm I worked at in high school. Huge compost piles that I had to suit up to step into, turning over heaping, steaming piles of waste with a massive pitchfork, wearing my arms out with the weight of each drive into the mound. There were lobster shells in the compost that day. I remember the vivid red of them standing out against the coffee grinds and the bread. And it stunk so bad. Ooh! It was enough to make you retch. But that's the cycle of life, isn't it? Decomposition smells bad. It isn't pretty all the time. As things break down to an unrecognizable form, to be reconstituted into fertile ground, into black gold, they call it. The sweetest, brightest fruits and flowers come from soil that's been woven with compost. I learned those days from my weary arms and the weeding. The process of making good soil requires hard labor, a strong stomach, and a commitment to a longer range vision. Today we are gathered for our annual flower communion, a ritual blessing we engage in each year that calls forth the sacred beauty of diversity, each one of us a flower, unique and worthy of awe. This is the 100th year of the flower ceremony, which, I know, I can't believe that, which originated with Norbert and Maya Čapek in what we now call the Czech Republic. Norbert started as a Catholic, then became a Baptist, fled to the United States, and in 1919 suffered a crisis of faith which called him back to his homeland after it was liberated following World War I. He founded a Unitarian church following this crisis of faith. He founded it in Prague, which grew to over 3,000 members during his time there. So many of his congregants were disillusioned with the faith of their birth and rejected the traditional Christian communion of bread and wine. They didn't believe in those things. So in need of a ritual that would bring everyone together, those from Catholic and Protestant and Jewish heritages, a ritual that would unite them and celebrate beauty, Chapek developed the flower communion. But today, for today's homily, today's message, I want to talk about the soil from which each flower grows. The soil which nurtures the flowers, which bring us the beauty, which hold the roots and capture the water, which nourishes the seeds and supports the growth. Before we have the peony, we have the soil. Before the rose, there is dirt. Before the lily, there is just ground. The foundation for life must be laid with care. The sacred beauty of diversity extends to soil too. Monoculture depletes soil. You need diversity, biodiversity, to add richness and nutritional value to the foundation from which all life comes. You have to plant lots of different things side by side to keep soil healthy. Season after season of just corn, just sawgrass, just soybeans leaves the dirt thin and bland. We need a soil which can support a host of flowers of all shapes and sizes and colors. We need a soil which sends forth strong stalks, deeply rooted blooms of all varieties, a blaze of glorious petals from which sprout not just in neat rows, but in fractals, spirals, in new and strange patterns. When we look around today, what must we do to enrich our soil here? If we are all the flowers, the soil is what holds us. What must be done to make a fertile ground from which all those who enter are encouraged to sprout, spurred to grow? What must be added back in? What must be changed out? What must be simplified or complicated in order to create a kind of community which bears witness to all kinds of living, all kinds of loving, all kinds of knowing, and all kinds of flowering? What is missing from our soil? To create it, you must labor for it. You need a strong stomach to endure the smelly bits, the parts that remind us of death, the parts that we don't want to look at too close for fear we might retch. And a faith that it will take time to re-season ourselves, to get that balance right, an abiding faith that if we keep turning it over to get the balance right, we'll come away with a richer, stronger variety of blooms, an embarrassment of riches, like the array of flowers before us today. And so, as we process today, each taking a flower from the chancel or holding your flowers up to the screen if you are joining us virtually, I want you to consider the soil that this flower grew from. Think about it hang down from the stalk. Remember the seed it sprouted from and the fact that when it wilts, if you offer it back to the land, it might enrich the ground for the next generation of blossoms. And so, on the 100th year celebration of the Flower Communion, I invite you to join me now. I'll ask that you line up along this aisle here, if you are in person, as you are able, and you'll cross in front of the chancel. Lisa and I will present you with a bloom, and then you'll head back down this aisle to find your seat again. After we've completed the ritual and you find your seat again, I will bless you, as I am wont to do. Dane, did you get one? You need one? Does anyone need a delivery? Okay. I ask that you hold your flower up to receive a blessing. Infinite Spirit of life, bless these flowers, your messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us that we, with all our diversity of ability and understanding, are one in our desire and devotion to love and justice. May they remind us of the value of doing and sharing alike in beloved community. May we cherish friendship as one of life's most precious gifts. May we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, all our efforts are needed to bring about love and justice in this world, and may the soil of our lives be cultivated through our shared commitments to make this a fertile ground for all who enter here. Blessed be, and amen. Hi, I'm Reverend Hannah Capaldi.
And I'm Reverend Abby Tennis. We are the ministers at the First Unitarian Church of Philadelphia, where our mission is to awaken love and justice in our lives and in the world.
We're so grateful that you watched, and we hope that the sermon connected with your soul.
We also want to invite you to join us for a live worship service every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can always find the link to that service on our website at www.philauu.org. In these services, you'll hear words like you've just heard, and you also get a chance to greet one another, pray together, sing together, and we even hold a virtual coffee hour after services to get a chance to greet some new and old friends.
If you want to support the mission of this community and you feel moved to give, you can do so by going to the website that Reverend Abby just mentioned. You can find that link below, or you can text 215-709-5095 and follow the prompts to give.
If someone in your life needs to hear these words today, we encourage you to share this video. And again, thank you so much for watching.
We hope to see you soon.